Happy Tuesday, y'all. It is July the 28th, and these are some of the headlines on bizarrebus.com. Is the pestilence spreading through air conditioning? 27 states now issuing warnings about seed packets from China. Head of China CDC gets injected with experimental vaccine. Boxes of unopened food for poor found dumped under a bridge in Queens. More unrest flares up in Tempe and Austin as Portland sees its 61st consecutive night of unrest. And scientists revive microbes from 100 million years ago. Nothing can go wrong there, I'm sure. Not. These are just some of the headlines on bizarrebus.com. Well, I know we've probably all wondered it at some point. Can the pestilence spread with air conditioning? HVAC makers plan upgrades. I know that they sell HEPA filters, and planes are equipped to be able to filter out the pestilence. I don't know if stores are starting to do that or not. The long-stayed world of HVAC is suddenly in the spotlight. With research showing the coronavirus may spread through shared air, property managers are rushing to upgrade heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems before reopening buildings. I assume that's not apartments, that's probably businesses, because ain't no apartment doing that. That's leading to costly upgrades for equipment that armies of professionals use to take for granted. Building specialists are poring over how well heavy-duty filters block microbes and considering whether to install systems that use ultraviolet light or electrically charged particles in the ductwork to kill the virus. They know that ultraviolet light apparently works. I would assume the sun would as well. Companies including Honeywell International and Train Technologies are benefiting from the surge in the demand, offering everything from air monitoring sensors to portable filter machines to help make up for deficiencies in ventilation. Every building is going to have some kind of solution. Is it going to be 100%? No. Said Hanny Salma, head of New York chapter of Building Owners and Managers Association, but it's going to be better than what they have now and will help mitigate some of these airborne transmissions and issues that everybody's afraid of. Honestly, I had given it very little thought when I'm in the store, but I'm wearing a mask and with a filter, so I really haven't given it that much thought, but I suppose we should. Much of the concern for buildings has been centered on whether the virus can spread through surfaces, prompting remedies such as new cleaning procedures, gallons of hand sanitizer and touchless doors, and bathroom fixtures. However, more than 200 researchers have urged the World Health Organization to recognize the disease can spread through the air currents, which it can. I've been saying it's probably airborne for a while. A study this spring, if not since the beginning, led by researchers at the University of Oregon found the presence of the virus in a quarter of HVAC systems in hospitals that treated COVID patients. Dude, that's concerning. The findings suggest the potential for transmission from shared air from locations separate from the infected person. Not all experts agree, though. The virus would be diluted and decayed even if it were to get into the air ducts, making them ineffective conduits. Do we really want to take that chance? Said Edward, a Harvard University professor who researches airborne transmissions. He's more concerned with people returning to buildings with inadequate air circulation, which can allow the virus to linger in a room. For building owners, the trade-offs abound. It's best to let in more fresh air, but that puts a strain on the cooling and heating. Dense filters that trap more microbes are coveted, yet can choke off airflow and worsen ventilation if a building's fans aren't powerful enough, and most solutions require more energy consumption. This is exactly why I'm still working from home. It's just not worth it, dude. We can go in if we want, but I opt to stay at home. So building safety products are proving to be a bright spot for sales at companies like Honeywell, which has technology for frictionless entry, automatic temperature taking and sensors that monitor air quality. Carrier, which specializes in HVAC and reports earnings this week, has seen its stock more than double since its separation in March from former United Technology Corp. We're seeing a very huge demand, said Manish Sharma, Chief Technology Officer for Honeywell. Everyone wants to see how you can get back to business, basically. Air conditioning upgrades are top priority for landlords, said Sama of New York Association. Even as it's unclear when office workers will return, his company, Capital Properties, is swapping out 900 air conditioning filters at its 2 Manhattan office buildings for double the price it would normally pay. Many of the methods to reduce pathogens have been around for years, such as UV light and bipolar ionization, which releases electrically charged atoms that attach to and neutralize virus and bacteria. Those technologies were geared more for hospitals than commercial buildings, though, which put more of an emphasis on saving energy than killing germs, and that's now changing. There's more to this. I will link it at bizarrebus.com. 27 states have now issued warnings about seed packets from China. I did a video last week and I showed you mine. I actually, at the Ohio Department of Ag, had to put in an email and let them know I had one. I don't know what they're going to do with it. I'll let you know what I find out. State agriculture officials are urging residents not to plant the seeds, though, which were mailed in pouches featuring Chinese characters. Officials in 27 states are urging residents to report any unsolicited packages of seeds that appear to have been sent from China, warning they may be invasive or otherwise harmful. So you don't want to throw them away because they can end up in the landfill and end up growing. The Agriculture Department in those states have issued statements in recent days noting that residents had reported receiving packages of seeds in the mail that they had not ordered. Based on photos, the seeds appear to have been mailed in white pouches displaying Chinese lettering and the words China Post. Though, photos released by the Ohio Department of Agriculture show seeds have also been sent in yellow envelopes. Some of the packages were labeled to say they contain jewelry, according to the Kansas Department of Ag. The Louisiana Department of Ag and Forestry reported that some of the packages were labeled to say they contained earbuds or toys. Public notices about unsolicited shipments of seeds from China were also issued by agriculture officials in Washington State, Virginia, Kentucky, Colorado, Delaware, Georgia, Iowa, Maryland, Minnesota, Mississippi, Wyoming, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Hampshire, North Carolina, and South Carolina, North Dakota, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, West Virginia, Florida, and Alabama. Dude. Packages of seeds have also been sent to residents in Utah and Arizona, according to local news reports. I just did a story the other day about the Utah incidents. The agriculture departments in at least 4 other states, Arkansas, Michigan, New Jersey, and Oregon, issued warnings, but did not say whether any of their residents reported receiving the seeds. Officials ask you not to plant them. It was not immediately clear what types of seeds they were, but Mike Strain, the Louisiana Agriculture and Forestry Commissioner, said in an interview that it appeared that water lily seeds were among those received by residents of his state. The police in White House, Ohio, where a resident reported receiving seeds, said the packages appeared to be part of a brushing fraud, which I told you about as well, where they send you something so they can do, and you're not charged for it. It's just so that under your name they can do a review. That's a whole Amazon problem, and it happens all the time. Although the seeds didn't appear to be directly dangerous to them, they would still prefer that people contact them to properly dispose of the seeds. Excuse me, like they need burnt or something. Kentucky's Ag Commissioner Ryan asked residents to report the unsolicited packages of seeds to the state's Ag Department. Writing on Twitter, they should put the packages of seeds in Ziploc bags and wash your hands immediately. Michael Wallace, a spokesman for the Virginia Department of Ag, said Monday that the department received over 900 emails and several hundred telephone calls from people who said they received them. It's a widespread issue. Apparently, the Louisiana Agriculture Department is picking up packages. We're sending our field personnel as soon as a call comes up. The department had heard that from some residents who said they had planted the seeds. The department planned to destroy whatever's planted. The Florida Department of Ag and Consumer Services said in a statement that about 160 people had reported in their neck of the woods. So anyway, on this link, that the source news that I'm going to link at bizarrebus.com, if you click on one of those states that are mentioned, it'll take you to their Department of Agriculture website, where you can also report if you have received any of those seeds, which I did myself today, because like, what the hell am I going to do with them? You can't flush them, you can't throw them away. It's not like I have a barrel to burn them in. So I guess I got to turn them over. I'll let you know what happens with that. Anyway, it is linked at bizarrebus.com. The head of the Chinese Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said he's been injected with an experimental coronavirus vaccine. Better him than anyone else, I guess, in an attempt to persuade the public to follow suit when one is approved. So in other words, his government told him to do it, I'm sure. He won't grow a third arm or anything. Quote, "I'm going to reveal something undercover. I am injected with one of the vaccines," Gao Fu said in a webinar Sunday hosted by Alibaba Health, an arm of the Chinese e-commerce giant. "I hope it will work," he says. The Associated Press reported earlier this month that a state-owned Chinese company injected employees with experimental shots in March, even before the government approved testing in people, a move that raised ethical concerns among experts. Gao did not say when or how he took the vaccine, leaving it unclear whether he was injected as part of a government-approved human trial. He did not respond to requests for comment. The claim underscores the enormous stakes as China competes with the U.S. and Britain companies to be the first with a vaccine to help end the pandemic. A feat that would be both a scientific and political triumph. China has whatever happened to just doing what's right for humanity? Without gain. China has positioned itself to be a strong contender. 8 of the nearly 24 potential vaccines in various stages of human testing worldwide are from China, the most of any country. Gao declined to say which of the vaccines he was injected with, saying he didn't want to be seen as doing some kind of propaganda for a particular company. Last month, Gao was a co-author on a paper introducing one candidate, an inactivated vaccine made by growing the whole virus in a lab and then killing it. Keep fucking around. Keep messing around in the lab, dude. That isn't what got you there to begin with, right? All of us. The company previously said in an online post that 30 employees, including top executives, helped pre-test its vaccine in March. Chinese state media has also reported that employees of state-owned companies going abroad are being offered injections of the vaccine. Gao said he took the injection to instill public confidence in the vaccines. More on this, and you can read it for yourself at bizarrebus.com. Let's take a quick break, and we wanted to show you the support page at bizarrebus.com, where you can just go to bizarrebus.com and click on support us. You can choose t-shirts, anything you've seen in the videos we try to list. There's 5 different ways that you can try to support us. You can use Cash App, Zelle, PayPal, Bitcoin. You can just send a straight Zelle request if you want, Venmo. You can choose to purchase a mask, any of the t-shirts. We got Alien Lives Matter, Earth Life Matters, Black Hole Eats Matters, Black Holes Eat Matter. We've got a lot of different things you can do to support us. We would certainly appreciate it if you feel that we deserve that. Thank you so much. Boxes of unopened coronavirus food for poor found dumped in Queens. Piles of unopened boxes of emergency city coronavirus meals meant for the poor were found dumped on the side of a Queens underpass on Monday. The outrageous sign of waste after Mayor de Blasio predicted up to 2 million New Yorkers would go hungry this summer amid the pestilence was enough to make passersby sick. Why wouldn't you just go give it to people in the streets? Local resident Juan said of the 34 brown cardboard boxes of food piled on top of each other along the concrete wall below the Queens Midtown Expressway around 57th, 45, 74th Street in Middle Village. Because I'm going to Google that. We needed to know all that. The city has a lot of homeless right now. The resident said he spotted the boxes slapped with white labels and black lettering reading Get Food New York. COVID-19 emergency food distribution packed on July 24th, delivered by July 31st. He said he called the city's 311 hotline and was told someone would pick them up, but they were still laying out in the sun more than 8 hours later. Inside the boxes, part of the de Blasio administration's much-touted program to feed the hungry during the country's economic crisis, were plastic containers filled with food. Some of the containers marked vegetarian and contains nuts, held a bag of multigrain pretzel Pepperidge Farms goldfish, what appeared to be a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and a small plastic container with part of a granola bar. Another meal package held dried fruit and nuts, a granola bar, dried something, and a bagel in plastic with a small cream cheese packet. So all of this food is basically done for. The office of the local city councilman Robert Holden told the Post that a constituent texted photos of the wasted food to them and that he was reaching out to the city to see what happened. This is absolutely inexcusable no matter how this food got there. So many New Yorkers have been desperate for a little extra food to help them get by during this pandemic, so it is unfathomable to see perfectly good meals go to waste like this, and he demands a thorough investigation. So whoever the delivery dude is just said F it and left him on the side of the road. It's supposed to go to people, said Sue she's a neighborhood resident. Somebody didn't want to do their job and they decided, okay, just let me dump it here. Either that or it was planned to fuck with the government, because there's a lot of shit going on over there right now. The city's sanitation department, which transports the food, said in a statement, "This is unacceptable and no driver will be paid for incomplete deliveries." Well, I hope not. You need to find out who did it and fire their ass. Anyway, I will link this at bizarrebus.com. Protests flare up in Tempe, Arizona, and Austin, Texas, as Portland sees its 61st consecutive night of unrest. Yay! Confrontations took place in Portland, Tempe, and Austin, where a BLM protester was shot dead over the weekend because he pointed his gun at somebody in a car and they shot his ass back. Guess he wishes he could probably just go home and play video games in his mom's basement. The 61st night since the murder of George Floyd was marked by clashes between police and demonstrators in Portland and Tempe, while hundreds more gathered in Austin for a vigil honoring an AK-47 wielding BLM protester gunned down over the weekend. I saw the video and he looked Antifa to me. But who knows, they're all basically the same. Anyway, at this point. Monday evening in Portland began with speeches in Lonsdale Square, which sit across the street from where federal officers have been embedded to protect the building. They're not leaving the building. They're protecting the building. Speakers called for protesters to leave the building alone in order to effect real change against racial injustice. A former NFL player who frequents rallies in Portland told the audience burning that building down does not help black people. But at another rally outside the County Justice Center, Stand for Children organizer Alana Wilson seemed to encourage street demonstrations to continue. It's ridiculous at this point. This needs to be the last civil rights movement, she told the crowd. It won't be. A fence outside the federal courthouse in Portland has been recently reinforced with concrete, and federal agents used a loudspeaker to tell the crowds to leave it be. Just leave it be. This is a federal protective service, the announcement said. Do not attempt to damage, remove, enter, or climb the fence around the federal courthouse. Failure to do so may result in arrest or use of crowd control munitions. What don't you get about that? Go home. Play stupid games. Win stupid prizes. Repeated announcements seemed only to energize the crowd. Of course it did, because they're asshole idiots. Hundreds have gathered along Southwest 3rd Street outside the courthouse by 10:20 p.m. For nearly 2 hours, people threw rocks, bottles, and other objects and launched fireworks over the fence at the door of the courthouse. The Portland Police Bureau said in a statement. Many wore gas mask helmets and carried signs that were armed with hockey sticks, golf clubs, and umbrellas. Go home. Go live your life. How about get a job? If you want to stand up for civil liberties, do it the right way. Form an organization. Change the voting method. Win people over that way, dude. This is not winning people over. I would be willing to listen to somebody if the mayhem wasn't going on. This makes me just not even want to listen to them. Federal officers came outside the building to put out fires and set off tear gas canisters. Some demonstrators used leaf blowers to direct the gas away from the crowd. People started a fire inside the fence and continually added wood, garbage, and other debris. After midnight, a person threw a Molotov cocktail against the front door, which burst into a fireball when it struck the building, causing a report to be heard and felt more than a block away. As tensions continued to escalate, federal officers reemerged from the courthouse because apparently the crowd wanted some and fired riot munitions, tear gas, and stun grenades after declaring the gathering unlawful. It's enough. Everyone is sick of your shit. Go home. Meanwhile, in Texas, protesters gathered outside Austin Police Headquarters Monday night and marched to the corner of 4th and Congress, where they knelt in silence to honor Garrett Foster. The Statesman reported. Foster was carrying his AK-47 during a BLM march Saturday night. When a motorist opened fire with his handgun from inside the car, Foster was shot and rushed to the hospital, where he later died. Another person in the crowd used a handgun to shoot at the vehicle as it peeled off. The driver told police that the crowd of protesters had surrounded his vehicle and struck his car. He also claimed that Foster pointed his rifle at him, which he did. Watch the video. And he was just talking to some news reporters before that, talking like, well, we have to be out here. Other witnesses and protesters in the crowd that night maintained that they did not approach the vehicle and that Foster did not point his gun at the motorist before he was shot. Yes, he did. It's in the video. Some say that the motorist drove his vehicle at the crowd menacingly. The investigation into the incident is ongoing. Just watch the video. Both the driver, whose name, and also It doesn't effing matter. Don't be approaching a car while you're carrying a gun. You're getting ran the fuck over. I guarantee it. Or shot. You get what you get, dude. Play stupid games. Win stupid prizes. But I'm sorry, I sighed. That's terrible. I shouldn't do that. Both the driver, whose name had not been released by authorities, and the other person who fired at the vehicle were taken into custody for questioning and were later released. Both have state-issued gun licenses. In Texas, a license to carry is required to carry handguns either openly or concealed. Rifles can be carried without a license. Protesters are often seen carrying firearms during demonstrations. Before he was killed, Foster ran into an independent journalist, Hiram Gilberto, amid the crowd, and he said, "They don't let us march in the streets anymore, so I got to go practice some of our rights." Because that's straight up great English. Foster said on a social media live stream, "If I use it against the cops, I'm dead." No, you're not, dude. Fuck out of here with that bullshit. Meanwhile, 7 people were arrested, and then he left that and went up to that car and acted an ass. That's what happened. Meanwhile, 7 people were arrested Monday night in Tempe, Arizona, where demonstrators approached a police bicycle line and clashed with officers. A protest began around 5 at Tempe Beach Park before crowds left sidewalks and marched through street traffic onto a bridge. Then they continued to exercise their First Amendment right as they make their way east towards Scottsdale Road. Participants will not be allowed to enter the roadway on Scottsdale Road in either direction and must remain on the sidewalk. Tempe police tweeted, "People moved towards officers on bicycles and began pelting them with projectiles and shouting profanities. Police then used pepper spray to disperse a crowd blocking an intersection. Get the F out of the road." One officer suffered a laceration of the face and required medical attention. It is unacceptable to hurl projectiles at people. Cops are people there to protect free expression and provide public safety. When you throw objects at them, it's not okay, says the cops. Get the fuck out of the road. It's that simple, dude. Anyway, there's more to this story, of course. And as I suggested, there's some videos you probably need to look up so you can see what an asshat dude is for yourself. I mean, rest his soul. I'm sure his mother would really appreciate him being home and alive right now. But he had to go practice his whatever the hell he said. Yeah, I'm sure his family's not happy about what happened to him, but had he been home, minding his own business, getting ready to go to bed because he had to get up and go to work, that wouldn't have happened. I will link it at bizarrebus.com.